Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. We hope you can just ease your seat back to this soothing voice here, relax, and let us take over as we give you our NXT review. And this review this week is going to be a bit interesting. I wouldn't say NXT was a dumpster fire, but I can't exactly say I was thrilled with it. Even the women, who I do believe were the highlight of tonight's episode, some head-scratching things for me personally. And, of course, I don't even want to acknowledge what that main event was. I hated that what the main event was what the main event was. So I think ultimately the word I come back to with this NXT is I was very ambivalent about it tonight, I think, on the whole. Again, save for the women, and even that wasn't without its problems. Ashton, what did you think about it, bud? Walk us through your feelings.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I did end up missing probably a good 30 to 45 minutes worth of NXT because of extracurricular things that were going on in my life, kind of outside of the TV show itself. So I ended up having to kind of go back and kind of catch up on what I could before we went live here. I did still not end up being able to see the whole Candice thing, so you'll have to kind of fill me in on that because I actually didn't get to see that. But other than that, I don't know. It felt like kind of a filler episode to me. There was nothing really overly interesting. Unfortunately, I think I would agree with you, man, in the sense that, I feel like if Schatzy and Ember had won, literally just flipped the result of the two women's matches, I would be so much more enthusiastic about this episode of NXT. But as it is, I'm just kind of meh.
And that's completely understandable, man. So with that, let's not drag our feet, given that this was a unique episode for a myriad of reasons for us. Let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I hope I'm not being too forward, brother, but I will take the ball here.
Yeah.
And I will say that I do have one nitpick. I don't want to completely kvetch and bitch about it. Yeah. I really didn't care for how the finish of Shotzi Storm was handled. So, to lay the scene for everybody...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but again, I didn't get to see everything. Who ended up winning the main event tonight?
Ciampa did, because I did at least have the audio on.
That might be, honestly, that might be the only match of the entire night that had the correct winner, because Ember should have won, Grimes should have won, and Shotzi should have won. So I'm just going to say that and now pass it back to you, what you were going to say.
Actually, thank you for reminding me on Grimes, because I blanked on that. So I'll make that two nitpicks, because again, I feel like I understand in a way what they're trying to do. I just don't like how they got there, which is why it's a nitpick and not a heat of the night. But because I did start with Shotzi, I want to just continue with that track. So her and Tony are having a very competitive match. I liked it. Again, women, I think, are really stepping up lately in NXT. I think they're kind of regaining their status for me as my favorite division on the brand. But Shotzi does this really cool spot where it's pretty much a tornado DDT, and she gets Tony's face to hit the apron, right? She's knocked the fuck out. Anywhere else, I feel like this would have been a finish. And referee's counting, and it's almost teasing like it's going to be a double count out. Gets up to, I want to say 8. I think we have enough people in chat that can correct me if I'm wrong. And so Shotzi gets back in the ring at 8, and the referee just stops counting. Now I've seen in the past where a referee, if somebody will get back in the ring, maybe they'll check on him real quick. But he checked on her so long that he completely forgot that Tony was still on the outside, and that gave Candice enough time to do her Titantron distraction, which we know with the tank, which allowed Tony to get back in the ring and roll her up. Tony's not a heel. Shotzi got screwed here.
Are we sure Tony's not a heel?
It didn't seem like it, because she even consoled Shotzi after her tank got ran over.
Okay.
I think they're really trying to keep her as a babyface. Yeah, I just don't like how that was handled. I'd rather, A, you give Tony the win outright, and then you pour salt on Shotzi's wound, or you build Shotzi up, right? You give her that win, and then you dovetail that momentum into a feud with the person that literally was just the number one contender.
Yeah.
And I don't think Tony really loses anything, because her whole story is rebuilding herself back up anyway, which shouldn't be easy, which, by the way, is the only pass I'm giving to Kai Moon, but we'll get to that in a few moments. So yeah, I just really don't like how that was handled, man. It really rubbed me the wrong way. I think it's those kinds of moments when you structure it that way, and I hate to be that guy, I just have got to be honest about how I feel, that you really, I hate using this term, expose the business. Because it's come on, you should be counting. Why aren't you counting? Oh, that's right, because it's contrived, because you're setting up this narrative device here.
Right.
I hate it. I really hate it. So before I get into my second one, because thanks to you, you did remind me about Kushida Grimes. Did you have any heats tonight or nitpicks?
You know, I didn't coming into this, but you've made me realize that I do, and that is repetitive finishes, because I feel like all 3 nights tonight had kind of wonky finishes, and 2 of the 3 involved interference, and not even interference, distractions, really, just distraction. And it was both of the women's matches, and it's what caused both of the women's matches to have their own winner. So really just the repetitive finishes, and kind of also like just kind of the incorrect person winning matches in general.
Right. It's funny that they do this to the women, because I think in a way they know how hot their division is right now from a qualitative standpoint, and you want to protect everybody. Here's the thing, though. You can't necessarily protect everybody. Like, there's always going to be a hierarchy, even in kayfabe. And even if you do want to strive to, like, protect everybody, we've got to really clearly define what protection is, because I feel like you could protect somebody even if you have them lose, right? Maybe you have them cut a great promo, or maybe if they're a heel, you have them attack, get their heat back. You know, you need to be more imaginative than let's just do these, like, fluky wins. So I do completely agree with you there. When it comes to Grimes, see, again, that's probably why I forgot about it, because I didn't even know if I wanted to make this a nitpick or not. I thought the way that they had him freak out when it was very clearly a referee was so stupid, dude. It made Grimes... Now, I know, here's the funny thing. I know the character isn't exactly the brightest bulb in the box, right? But, like, for me personally, I would have either... had the referee come out in the zombie garb again. This way it gives Grimes a legitimate reason to trigger him, right? And trigger
I think that was my biggest issue, though, was that, like... Grimes being freaked out that the referee who played the zombie in the Haunted House of Terror match last week is like if I was scared if Josh Brolin came around, because it's like, oh my god, it's Thanos, I'm gonna run away now, I hope he doesn't kill half of my population. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know full well that it's not the same thing. Like, you know, that was like a one-time deal. It was a Halloween Havoc thing. It's like they're going out of their way to write Grimes not necessarily as just like a dumb guy, but as like a fucking 3-year-old.
Yes, and a guy that's that good in ring. Look, I'm not asking him to be some kind of an assassin, right? But, like, make me believe it. So either A, you should have done the referee in zombie makeup and aesthetic, or B, it should have been Loomis. It should have been Loomis still fucking with him, you know? Now maybe, but see, again, though, you kind of run into a wall, because why even fuck with him when you already won the Haunted House match? Like, Loomis got his comeuppance. Or I should say Grimes got his comeuppance.
So I guess that they're trying to write it so that Loomis isn't actively trying to fuck with Grimes, but he still has just scarred him to the point that it's costing him matches even in the aftermath.
But we fall back on option A of you should really make it seem like the referee's an aesthetic. I don't even know if you could, like, edit this cleverly, and then maybe, like, the camera pans back and the referee's normal, so it's like, oh, is this in Grimes' head, or is it really happening? I don't know if you could be that clever. Maybe I'm asking too much there. But I just feel like, again, ultimately, it could have been played better than what it was. So yeah, these finishes were really head scratchers. Again, I don't want to get too angry about it. I mean, you notice the intro's become a lot more chill now from my scintillating voice over here. So I'm not trying to get worked up by wrestling when there are so many other things to get worked up about. But I'm confused, really, and I don't like being confused. I feel like we already have enough confusing shit, right? Wrestling should be a medium where it's communicated either directly or rather than being confused. I think there's a difference between being confusing and being deep and being substantive. And these stories really aren't substantive on the face of them, so I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say for our first segment? Because I'm fresh out, so the floor is entirely yours if you want to use it.
I don't think that it's fair to call what I'm about to say a heat of the night, or really even a nitpick. It's more of just like a kind of an angry confusion. I don't know really how to describe it, but I'm like, we do realize that Survivor Series is coming up in literally 2.5 weeks, right? Like, when are we going to get an announcement for War Games, or are we not? Did they really fuck with the takeover schedule that much that we're not getting War Games on Survivor Series weekend this year?
So I would describe what you're feeling as just you're being irritated by something that hasn't come to pass yet. I mean, dude, that's the thing though, is that it feels like they're building to a War Games, right? It feels like they're probably building towards something along the lines of like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, maybe even the whole Undisputed Era versus McAfee and, you know, Dunn and Lorcan and Birch.
something along those lines. But now it seems like maybe Dane and Maverick might get involved. I don't know. Maybe they'll do more than War Games as usually. Maybe they'll, rather than like the 4-on-4 War Games kind of thing, maybe they want to do like a 5 or 6-on-6 tag time match. I don't know. But like, it just seems to me like they're building towards some kind of big blow off here, which War Games would be perfect for if they would actually announce that they were having a full fucking takeover in like 2.5 goddamn weeks.
See, now that and again, like you said, it wouldn't be fair to call it here another nitpick, so I won't, because you clearly defined that. I just feel like, I don't know if it was COVID or what, I feel like NXT is usually very good about announcing when shows are happening.
Yeah.
So I just assume that it's not happening, dude. I just assume either that or it got pushed back and it's going to happen later. But, you figure, mercifully, we're almost through 2020. Like, it's November. Next month's going to be December. And then, NXT usually does. I don't even know what their year-end shows are going to be like, because, they usually do, like, the recap shows and stuff like that.
Which was a horrible, horrible mistake last year that cost them so many viewers.
Yeah, exactly. So I really hope they don't do that again this year. Or I guess
dude, AEW unironically lost fewer viewers by just not running a show than NXT lost by running one that was just recap.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, man. I feel like the pandemic's really turned them inside out. And yeah, I'm just, at this moment in time, I'm resigned to the fact that we're probably not getting a War Games this year. We'll see though, because I'm just going by what they haven't said more than anything they have said.
Yeah.
So we'll see if anything different happens.
Alex Foster had an interesting suggestion. Undisputed Era versus Team McAfee versus Drake, Killian, and Everrise. I don't think it would be Everrise necessarily. I think it would be more likely that it would be Drake and Dane and 2 other guys that maybe end up getting kind of dragged into it within the next couple weeks. But a 3-way 4-on-4 match, I hadn't even thought about. I do like that idea, though. But again, like John's saying, NXT is usually better about their advertising than this. So I almost have to wonder if, like John said, we're just not getting a TakeOver War Games this year. Or if we are getting it, it's not going to happen Survivor Series weekend.
Yeah, so really that's kind of a wait-and-see sort of thing with me.
Yeah, I even put it on the schedule just with like a question mark, because it's like, what the hell? It's not an... And Breezango would be perfect, way better than Everrise, yes. Breezango is the perfect teammates for Drake and Dane. That's ideal, I would say. But yeah, it's like I have it on the schedule as like NXT TakeOver, question mark, and then like the Thursday before I have NXT TakeOver preview, question mark, because I just don't know what to do or how to handle it.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. You and I were even kind of hashing out today with you putting together the schedule, and I think you did the right thing, because it really is an ambiguous thing. We'll just have to see what NXT says. But is there anything else you want to address in this segment?
What's your second heat of the night?
Oh, well, no, we already went through it, because it was Grimes that you reminded me of. It was a second nitpick. I had 2 nitpicks. So with that said, because I even said after I was done that the space was totally yours. So if you're good,
okay, yeah,
that means we can get into our NXT review, and we open up hot for the most part with Dakota Kai versus Ember. And I will say, on the positive side, bro, I don't think I've ever loved Ember Moon more. Honestly, I love the swagger.
Her selling in this was so good.
Her selling in this was so good. And dude, for me personally, what really made me pop, her trash talk, dude, and her personality in the ring. Because there was one point where she spun Dakota around, like her body hanging outside, like the ring on the apron, like Dakota got Ember, I think, like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but before that boot, she's like, "Here's your receipt," and I think she said some things before that, and then she booted her. So I love that. Yep. And then when they're doing the strike exchange, Ember's like, "Come on, plant me one right here. I'll give you one more." And she's smiling, and she even winked at Dakota, and I love that. Yep. I love it. Yeah, Ember's really feeling herself this run.
It's so odd to me, though, that this of all times is when they finally decide to give Dakota Kai a win. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was actually about to get to that, because you're right. But just finishing my thoughts on Ember, it's really funny.
I didn't mean to throw you off. That's my bad.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool, because no, you're absolutely right. It is like a WTF moment there. I just love that this was a woman that was genuinely fearful. And I'm not going to invalidate those concerns that like, oh my God, is my career over? And she comes back from an injury like that to, in my opinion, be the best Ember Moon that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's just a real poetry in that to me. But to address,
I think that's another reason why I'm a little upset that she lost, because I want her and Io so bad. And now that we found out, and we'll talk about this later on in the night, but now that we found out we're most likely getting Io Rhea next, I'm scared shitless that Rhea's going to win the women's title from Io, and we're not going to get Ember Io for the title.
Yeah, and that's a valid concern. And again, like you said, we'll get to that a little later because they did like a whole video package teasing it.
Yeah.
Why I can somewhat look past this beyond the lazy veneer of, oh, but Raquel Gonzalez got involved.
Didn't she just lose to Rhea?
Yes, she did. But the two reasons why I can almost look past it, although like you and like Javaris, I am very confused, would be one, in the hype up interview that Ember did for the matchup. She even said that like she remembers Dakota being really scared, although she acknowledged how much Dakota's come into her own. So you could have said that maybe Ember made assumptions about Dakota.
Right.
But then secondly, and to be honest, I kind of forgot this. Oh yeah. But see, that almost doesn't work either. See, they undercut their own excuses, because who did Ember face? Either like, it was 2 weeks ago, I think, that set this whole thing in motion. Who did she beat that Dakota then attacked her after the fact? Was it, I don't think it was Casey. I don't think it was Kaden either. I don't think it was Aaliyah. Does anybody remember who Ember beat in her first singles match back?
It wasn't Xia Li, was it?
I don't think so, no.
Jessie Kamea?
Yes, I think it was. I think it was Jessie Kamea, yeah. So they even kind of undercut that, because then I could have said to you, well, Ashton, maybe the story they're telling is it was such a serious injury, and the only match she had prior to that was a tag match in which you share the load anyway. Like, Ember needs to find her footing as a singles competitor again. And, maybe that's why she lost. And maybe that excuse still holds water, because I like Jessie. This isn't a put down, but in kayfabe, Dakota should be a higher power level than her.
Yeah.
But again, you undercut that when that's her second singles match. So I don't know, man, because really the best excuse I can offer you, if I'm thinking like NXT is this is a redemption story. This is Ember really trying to follow her own law of Ember's law. And it's going to take her a bit to find her bearings. But that really does bring me to my fourth point. Why Dakota? I feel like there were other women on the roster you could have done this with. And yet they do it with a woman where it's kind of, I won't even say an inside joke between us, because I feel like it's just a thing with most Dakota fans where you just expect her to lose every match.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's like, we've kind of talked about how Dakota is NXT Ishii, in the sense that she's never going to be the world champion. She's always going to lose to the women that are really being pushed, and she's effectively the gatekeeper, where in order to get to the world title, you have to beat her on the way there. And beating her is like the stamp of approval of like, okay, this is your time. It's time for you to get into the title picture. But like, I was expecting that to be Ember. We were literally talking about the first night that Ember and Tony were both back. It felt like Ember was getting the rocket up her ass and Tony was going to get the slow build. And now tonight it feels like the exact opposite is true, and I'm not as happy about it.
Yeah, and we even talked about that, man. I'm glad you brought that back up, because I know you explicitly said to me, and I think you did say it here, because you just said that we had that discussion, that you really were happy that it seemed like Ember, we were going to hotshot Ember Io, which is great because they're both at premium value right now.
Yeah.
You want to get that match out there. And Tony, given how she talks about herself and everything, you do the slow build. So, I completely agree with you. I think that comes back to our first segment here of the night, us having contention with these finishes, because it's like, holy crap. I would have even felt better. Like, if one of them had to lose, I would have felt better if they both lost then, especially, again, if Ember in particular had to lose. Yeah. Like, if you had to give the win to... Because then what you could have done, dude, is... You could have had, especially knowing we're going to get Io Rhea, because I was thinking about War Games. You really brought up a lot of good stuff tonight that's kind of bringing my thoughts all together. Because I'm like, what if we don't even do a team-based War Games? We just do a hodgepodge of women in the War Games cage for the title. Because you have Dakota beat Ember, and then Schatzy beat Tony, but Tony may beat this one person down the road, and so on and so forth. But instead now you have Ember lose... You have Tony win, which, I don't like for the reasons already stated in the nitpicking too. Yeah. I want more for Schatzy. She just came off of hosting Halloween Havoc. I really wanted her to get that rub. Although, I do feel like the Candice feud may be good for her long term. We'll get to that. So yeah, man, I'm confused as shit. I'm right there with everybody. Is there anything else you want to say, man? I feel like I need to take a breather here. So is there anything you want to add?
Well, I'm sorry to not let you get a breather, but I really don't think anything else to add. I'm like you know, I'll say things when I think of them, which is why I end up interrupting you way more often than I'd like to, and I'm sorry for that. But
no apologies needed.
That's how I prevent myself from forgetting things.
No, dude, no apologies needed. Like I said to you, man, because I know we were kind of like prepping for this review. I look at reviews and like it's just you and I hanging out, and it just happens that other people are watching us hang out. That's the way I like to look at it. Yeah. So what came after this, brother?
After just the Dakota Kai Ember Moon match, we had the Cameron Grimes interview where the zombie ref from last week like tapped him on the shoulder and said that he's on next, and then he freaks the fuck out because he's still scarred from last week.
Yeah, so just to kind of roll this all into one, because I'm guessing, did the match come immediately after this, I'm hoping?
Well, we did get a Shotzi Blackheart interview where she gets to talk about how she gets to choose an opponent for tonight as like a payment for hosting Halloween Havoc last week, and that she chose Toni Storm, and then she does the whole welcome to the ball pit, ow, 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 that whole thing, which cool. That's like, you could put that on a t-shirt and I'd probably be interested, but that was the only thing that happened in between the Grimes interview and then the Grimes match.
Two more points that I didn't want to add to nitpicks because it would just seem kind of petty. Really don't like that Cameron Grimes got the jobber entrance here. And also, you know, when it comes to Kushida specifically, God, you know, like, I don't hate him nearly as much as I did in, like, the New Japan run, but, like, I really feel like we're about to get there because I understood, let me make perfectly clear for a lot of reasons. I understood when Kushida was feuding with the Trash Heap why they wanted him to make him like angry and focused because, you know, he was attacked and in kayfabe taken out.
Yeah.
But to make it now a character shift where, oh, it's a more serious Kushida, like he's, you know, Kushida 2 coming for gold. I'm not, no. I didn't buy tickets. I wouldn't scalp tickets. And if anybody would try and give me tickets, I would kick them in the balls and probably terminate the relationship. I do not want to see this whatsoever. And it worries me. It worries me long term. If Kushida, say for example, if Kushida beats Gargano for the North American Championship, fine, whatever. I'll take it, I guess. I worry, though, dude, that they may give him an NXT championship match down the road. Like, they really seem like they're building him, man. Because keep in mind,
dude, you know what? I would be cool with them giving him a Cruiserweight championship match down the road. But I feel like he's already challenged Santos for the title already.
I mean, I don't think that formally happened, but here's why I'm concerned about the NXT championship, dude. Because remember, we got the main event between the two pieces of shit tonight. But I think it was like last week. No, it was 2 weeks ago. A lot of things were 2 weeks ago. I got to have a better memory than this. Where the two Trash Heaps were going against Kushida, and Kushida pinned Ciampa. Like, he won that triple threat pinning Ciampa. Now, granted, they protected him because Dream hit him with the cast, right? But, like, Kushida pinning Ciampa to me is a huge deal because it's fucking Ciampa. Yeah. So, like, they're gearing him up for it, dude. And my body violently rejects this, man. And it almost feels good that I'm violently rejecting it for the reasons why we're here. Because I don't like him, you know, as a wrestler. Rather than, God, he did this shady thing 5 years ago that's, like, monstrous. But, yeah, it's not believable to me. It's annoying. We're going to have to deal with it. And, you know, if the dude's making a good living and getting paid, like, obviously on the human being level, I want that for most performers. But it's just not my cup of tea, and I'm really not looking forward to it. Do you have anything you want to add to this?
You know what? I wonder if we're just going to get a straight-up one-on-one match between Kushida and Ciampa to determine a contender. Did you already say that?
No, I didn't, and that's a good point, given that Ciampa did win the main event tonight.
Yeah, because like I feel like if we do get that, we will get a Ciampa victory on that, because I really don't think they're going to push Kushida over Ciampa, and maybe then Kushida would be like, okay, well, I can't go after the world title, but maybe I'll set up for the Cruiserweight title and go after Escobar.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, because I feel like LDF, and I don't know if you saw this, and to be fair, I was having stream issues, but if I remember correctly, LDF, I think, made reference to Atlas. So Jake Atlas may not be done with them. And again, I still feel like with the wins that Kushida's been getting, North American Championship seems far more likely to me right now.
Yeah, that actually would work. I would be cool with that, believe it or not. Like, even if you would beat Gargano, I would be cool with that. Because, like, I feel like North American Championship is where Kushida's ceiling should be, personally.
Yeah, see, and I would agree with you. Do I think there are better, like, North American champions for my taste? I mean, I've been hankering for Cameron Grimes to,
I was just going to say, well, that's another reason why I'd be okay with Kushida winning it from Gargano, though, because then we've got a babyface North American Championship champion again, and that would open the door for Grimes to challenge him for it.
Excellent points all around, man. Yeah, I'm definitely more sympathetic to that line of reasoning than what I'm fearing NXT is thinking, and it's like, man, we are grooming a real great underdog story. Well, not even underdog, but just a really great story in general for the NXT Championship. And again, my body is just violently rejecting that. So I hope you're right, only because it makes a lot of sense, because you figure Kushida won the Triple Threat pinning Ciampa, but that was only because Dream hit Ciampa with the cast. So again, they protected Ciampa. He beats Dream tonight. They do a rematch that's straight up, perfectly clean. Ciampa wins. We get Ciampa Balor maybe at a future takeover, which, even though I really don't care for Tommaso Ciampa's opinions, would be a solid in-ring bout. I think they could cut good promos and it could be a good in-ring product. And then maybe you do Kushida Gargano at that same takeover. So yeah. I mean, you could do far worse, I think, dude. So I'm definitely very sympathetic to where you're coming from.
All right. Well, after oh god, here we go. Well, first of all, before we get into the fun stuff, we did get a couple more of these sort of women's cinematic style interview / vignette / video packages or whatever. So we got a Toni Storm one first, and she just kind of claims that she's a whole new Toni Storm, and she wants to use Schatzy as a stepping stone on her way to the top of the division. Then we get an Io cinematic, and she feels like she needs to beat Rhea Ripley to prove that this truly is Io Shirai's NXT. So, any thoughts on these two video packages?
No, simple, straightforward. They were good enough, I guess. Yeah, I've really got nothing to say, so we can move on.
All right. Up next, we had Drake Maverick and Killian Dane versus Everrise, and I don't really give a fuck about this match. What I care about is who showed up in the middle of it.
Yeah. Because I really don't care for this tag team, as you know, and Everrise I'm also apathetic about, but McAfee, man, McAfee and company, it's a special emphasis on McAfee and Pete Dunne. I'm cool with Pete Dunne right now, and Oni. So really, it's fuck Danny Burch.
Yeah.
I'm vibing with this, but you know what, dude? I feel like, and I hate myself.
And now we can actually say fuck Danny Burch. We have reason to not like him now beyond him just being a boring as shit wrestler. He's an actual piece of shit.
Yeah. God, it feels so good to be like vindicated for completely different reasons. But I feel terrible, man, because I feel like I've really been talking way too much in this NXT review. I don't mean to take time away from you unnecessarily. So, how did you feel about McAfee and company and what they did tonight?
Oh, I loved it, man. I loved it. I like. Obviously, they got to start by taking everyone out of the ring so that they can clear everyone out, so that they can kind of have the ring to themselves to cut their promo. They cut a big, long promo basically commemorating the Undisputed Era. McAfee really hammers home how sort of the theme of the little group that he's put together is that the Undisputed Era were scumbags to all of them. So it's really like he basically he said that it was real easy to put this group together. He kind of highlights again that he wanted Ridge Holland to be in it, and then he broke his ankle and leg and stuff. And then he, went on to just talk shit about the crowd and about UE and about everyone at home and everything. Like, I like how McAfee's promo style really is really simple, but like, holy hell is it effective, right? Because like, he literally just like keeps it as simple as just like, hey, everyone here, everyone at home, you all suck, we're the greatest. And that's it. That's all it needs. That's all you need. He's just such a simple promo cutter, but it's the delivery that really matters. And his delivery is impeccable. It's so convincing. They act like they're going to raise an Undisputed Era banner up into the rafters to commemorate them and to honor them, but then they do a vote, and it's who wants to do this? Say aye, and no one says aye, and then he says, who wants to light this thing on fire? And everyone says aye, and so they get a trash can, and they put it in there, and then Pete Dunne lights it on fire, and then they walk away. But as they're about to actually leave, because they showed up in a fucking Suburban, I think it was, or it might have been like a Chevy Tahoe or something like that, but it was a huge-ass SUV. And Killian Dane attacks McAfee right before he can get into the vehicle. And then the other three guys, Birch, Lorcan, and Dunn, beat him down. And then as he's kind of laying on the ground with his head in between the car door and the car, Pete Dunne kicks the car door into his head. And I loved McAfee's response to this because he was like, a little aggressive. We'll talk about it. We gotta go. So good.
I think you said everything so perfectly. I almost don't want to add anything to it, but I will anyway because of my ego.
Hooray.
I will.
Hooray for John's ego, everyone! Yay!
But no, man, you really did sum it up perfectly. I would say that I think McAfee is one of the most endearing parts of NXT. I love hearing this dude talk, and I think I would just say, to expound upon your point, that McAfee reminds us what promo stands for. It's promotional, promote. And he does that so effectively. He keeps you in the loop with the story. He even reminded us about Ridge Holland for those that might have missed last week. And he promotes his group. He promotes their agenda. And he gets the fuck out of there. That's it. Again, I say, and I don't know what number I gave the last time we talked about this, so I'm not going to try and risk, repeating that success. But I would say, compared to the majority of workers in all of the WWE, Pat McAfee's a better freaking mic worker. If for no other reason, because he understands the elements of a promo. If you're not effectively promoting either who you are, who your group is, whatever it is you're supposed to be promoting, then it's going to fall on deaf ears. And bonus points, of course, if you can do it charismatically, which I definitely think that he does. And yeah, like I said, the only thing I hate about this group is Danny Burch, because honestly, I love why these guys came together. A hatred of the Undisputed Era. It's so simple. It's so simple. So yeah, dude, again, you nailed it, but I just really had to emphasize a point you already made, that he is so effective on the mic, just promoting what he needs to and getting the hell out of there. And so many people can learn from that, dude. It's beautiful.
There are two things I really want to talk about. The quicker, easier one is the way that they showed McAfee and company driving off, and then they came back to Dane and we saw the fucking pool of blood and how bloody his face was such effective camera work, and I guess you could even say directing to a degree. I loved the way they did that. But can I just say, I absolutely love when you have a heel group reign supreme for a long time and they're assholes to fucking everybody, and then they eventually turn face inevitably, because that always happens. And it's not like a scot-free face turn, because the people they were dicks to when they were heels fucking remember. That is one of my favorite things that you can possibly write into a wrestling story, is when people actually remember when someone was a different alignment than they are now. Like someone who is a face remembering when this guy was a dickhead to them and being like, no, man, I don't want to hang with you. You were an asshole to me not that long ago. Why would I want to hang with you? And this is just another example of that, where it's reckoning for the Undisputed Era's sins for when they were dicks,
Yeah, dude. Again, another excellent point, because I didn't even think about that. It's so refreshing that we can have either a babyface or a heel turn, in which case, it's Undisputed Era being babyfaces, and really the people that have turned heel are Dunn and Team 1-2 and Lorcan and Birch. And it's nobody's just going to buddy. Nobody's just going to forget shit. There's memory, and with memory comes continuity. And that needs to happen so much more. In fact, really, because you brought it up, I'll say personally that I think it's an indictment on how wrestling is done in WWE, that it's not standard procedure. Yeah. It's not the normal for that to happen. Yep. Because it absolutely should be. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, man. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. All right. I guess, can we move on?
Absolutely, man.
Oh man, this was, I would say, one of the highlights. Really, I'm so angry that I missed the Thatcher segment, because I fucking loved that so much the last time we saw one. And I missed it this week, and I'm so angry about it, but I'm sure you'll be able to fill in the blanks. But I think the two highlights for me of the NXT that I'm banished to actually watch were the McAfee promo and that whole segment, and this up here, believe it or not, the Gargano House video.
Oh, yeah.
This has gotten so tongue-in-cheek, this dude might as well be swallowing his own tongue. It's he spins the fucking wheel because he's playing, I don't even know what game, but some kind of, it might have been Risk, actually. I think it was Risk. And he says, there's been some really ugly rumors going around that Johnny Gargano hates wheels. That's not true. I love wheels. And then he spins the wheel. Very Trumpian of him, okay?
You know, it's amazing with Gargano because I feel like he's just said, fuck it. I'm just going to embrace every little thing that makes me so annoying, and you're all just going to deal with it. And shockingly,
It works.
It works, and I'm dealing with it rather well. First of all, I think it was... it seemed to me like they were playing the game of life, which is all the more poetic because Johnny's got to be feeling like he's winning at life.
Was it
right
life? Now. It might have been life. You might be right there. I only said risk because I didn't recognize the shape of the board itself.
Right. But then I even forget the song that he sang while he's like kind of like thrusting his hips and holding the belt high up in the air because he's doing a little victory dance. He is feeling himself right now. You know, he's talking about how he's a history maker, first ever Triple Crown champion in NXT history, first ever 2-time North American champion in NXT history. Like, everything coming up Gargano right now, at least if you're Johnny. And, I think
he might have actually said that exact quote at least once or twice.
Yeah. And... Hell, even Javaris, who we have seen, this dude has been on so many of our live chats. When he's on somebody's fucking head, it is hard for them to get him off of him. So for him to even be like, I'm actually starting to enjoy Johnny Bitch Cakes, and even though it did induce vomit in the mouth, it really, really says a lot.
Speaks volumes, for sure.
It really does. It really does. So, yeah. The idea that he, like, takes over Ghostface turn because he's like, you can't do anything with this anyway. Look at that. I went, like, it's so, dude, I think...
Dude, I love the way he was as the Ghostface, as the Scream Killer spun the wheel, and it landed, he was like, you suck at this game.
Dude, I think
he's triggering everything that makes me hate people in one character. Because it's like, you suck at this game. Fuck you! It's a game of chance, you bastard!
Yes. But it's incredible, and why I think it works so well is for how fucking long, dude, have we likened Johnny to, like, that 6-year-old or that guy that never grows up, like, Candice! Where is my Royal Rumble 97 VHS tape?
Yeah.
I want to watch it with chicken tendies. And, like, he's really, like, embraced that. Because, like, the whole you suck at this game, the whole song with the championship up in the air, he's really embraced the man-child.
Yep.
It's Johnny Man-child. And, like, if he's honest about it, because that's the thing, I really do believe in the adage that when you take the power of, like, a word away, like, it just becomes an impotent word. You've rendered it inert in its power. So, like, Johnny just embracing, like, yeah, I'm a man-child, and I'm like that meme where it's, like, got the finger up to make a counterpoint, and then it's like, shit. Because I don't know what to say anymore. Like, he's owned it. So, like, okay, we're doing it. It's the Gargano man-child era, okay? Yeah, I enjoyed this. I can't believe I'm actually becoming a fan of Johnny again. And with this fucking gimmick, with him just reveling in being better than all of us, but not even in the way that you'd expect, but just being a complete fucking child. Holy shit.
He's going full bow. Oh, God.
He really is, dude. He really is. Jesus Christ.
All right. So up next, we got Tony versus Schatzy. Candice distracted Schatzy, allowed Tony to get the win, and then destroyed the tank. So I'm going to let you kind of handle most of the talking here, because, again, this is around the time that I stopped being able to see what was going on.
I mean, yeah, you pretty much mentioned the important parts. Solid enough match. I already explained my gripes at the finish. It was a beautiful DDT by Schatzy, but completely mishandled. When it comes to the tank, okay, so how do I want to talk about this? I understand Candice's motivation. Makes perfect sense. I will give them that. Schatzy did get involved in the ladder match. Candice feels like if she didn't, she would have been NXT Women's Champion. Of course, the heel skews things because Candice had help, and that's the only reason Schatzy came down. But I digress. I really have to give credit to Schatzy here because she lost her shit at her tank being destroyed, bro.
Oh, like, shit, yeah, and I missed that.
Yeah, she cried, and I feel like she, like, had a full-blown meltdown, and I can't speak for the chat here, Because I know Foster, who I'm not even going to get on because Foster did amazing civic duty this whole election period. And plus, he's devastatingly handsome. But he actually openly tweeted the courage of this man, that the tank deserved what it got. And so...
I didn't see that, but that's amazing, Alex.
Yeah, he did it for Robert Stone because he just really thought that Robert Stone got...
Of course.
Yeah.
Dude should have shown Robert Stone later on celebrating because of it. Never again.
You know what? You saying that, it really makes me want to look at his Twitter feed and live react to it just in case he did say something.
I'm looking. Robert Stone, WWE. Let me see. It's literally at Robert Stone, WWE.
Yeah.
He just tweeted LOL. That's too perfect, though. The top reply: Stone about to ask Candice to join the brand.
Yeah. I mean, hell, clientele is a revolving door anyway. Might as well shoot a shot.
I know, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? She can say no. God, I haven't dealt with plenty of that already.
Yeah, he deals with the rejection of a worse kind. They say yes and they still leave.
That's happened twice already.
Yeah.
And it's literally been, dude, can I just say, I really need to establish that. I feel like I've said this before, but I really need to double down. Robert Stone has genuinely been a good manager. Every one of his clients have ended up in a better place with him than they were before or after leaving him. Because when was the last time we saw Chelsea Green? Because I'm pretty sure it was literally the last time that we saw her, was the match with Charlotte after, and which immediately afterwards she quit, the Stone Enterprises or whatever it is. And Aaliyah was on a 10-month losing streak before Robert Stone, and he helped her win her first match in that time. And he got Mercedes a title shot.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to die laughing because I was thinking about this while you were saying this. With how delicious that I find the complexes of other people that are emotionally damaged, Robert Stone's looking like a whole fucking entree right now because it just doesn't stop for him. But he is
this
on
dude
the
is so good for his clientele, and they just keep leaving him for no reason.
No wonder he had to revel in this. Victories really don't come often for him.
He should offer to buy Shotzi a replacement tank. The only cost to her being she has to sign with the Robert Stone brand.
That would be interesting. But
she'd be the next NXT Women's Champion. That's how good of a manager he is.
Well, yeah, she's got the in-ring ability for it, and he's got the tact. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But to re-pivot back to the segment, now that I have to gather myself, because God, that was fucking funny. She sold it really well. She was in tears. She was apoplectic. And again, that's what I was gonna say. I can't speak for the chat, and that was the whole interlude with Foster and everything else. But in a weird way, she actually kind of scared me by the end because I'm thinking oh dear God, Candice, what did you do? I really, Shotzi's great.
You're lucky you didn't run over her special helmet. Otherwise, she would have murdered you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm afraid of Shotzi Blackheart now, and that really hits different. Because I sympathize with her, don't get me wrong, and I'm like, man, and it was a tank, it was a special part of her identity, and she's making me care about it. But then when it, really settled in, and Shotzi's just, got her face in her hands and this and that, I'm like, if the stages of grief kind of tell us anything, or just how people process in general tells us anything, those tears are going to dry. And anger's going to be left in its place. Yeah. Honestly, I know this is hyperbolic by me, but fuck it. The beautiful thing about this being our podcast is we can say what we genuinely feel.
Did you see what Javaris said in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, Javaris, that's a whole mood. Because I saw that happen, and I'm like, so Candice has chosen death.
Yeah.
But, at the risk of being hyperbolic... you have Candice that got cost the NXT Women's Championship. Shotzi got her tank ran over, which is very dear to her. I want to see these two in a last woman standing match. I want to see them in some kind of special step, hardcore match where Shotzi goes over.
Nice.
I think, personally, for me, based on how the emotion came off in this segment, and Candice even looking at the camera after she ran the takeover and said, "You cost me the NXT Women's Championship. This is what you get for sticking your nose in other people's business. We're even." I don't want to say that it's like, oh my God, you slapped my mother in the face kind of feud, but I do think it's personal enough that you can get away with a stip, and that would just really put Shotzi over the top to me. So yeah, I'm looking for this to have either a last woman standing, a no DQ, whatever. Fucking Javaris, I'm living for this right now. And he said chicken tendies. He said the thing.
He did. That's what got me.
But yeah, give him a stip and let Shotzi go over. Because I'm telling you, dude, if this woman is not NXT Women's Champion by early 2021, in my personal opinion, NXT is doing it wrong. Especially because I don't even know where Ember sits right now, what they're going to do with her. Shotzi is still kind of the project that I'm most emotionally invested in. Like, get her in the title picture, seriously. So yeah, I didn't want to belabor this segment. I'm glad we got some good laughs, though. So what came after this, man?
This was kind of the point that I wasn't able to continue watching. I actually didn't see anything for the remainder of NXT here. But then Jake Atlas had to fight off LDF in the parking lot. So you can kind of fill us all in on that.
Yeah, I guess they kind of saw him from what I remember, because again, I did have stream issues myself. That's why this is a really weird NXT in a lot of areas. And like you said, they beat him down, which just really signals to me that they are continuing with the feud, which should be good, I guess. It's like I think really, to me, I'm hoping Jake Atlas, and I have nothing against Jake personally. He's even started to grow on me a tad, but I hope it's just to pad out Escobar's reign, and we ultimately just get to Swerve versus Escobar, the final encounter at Mania TakeOver. That's still like my dream for the Cruiserweight division, with Swerve finally winning the fucking title. So yeah, I'm cool with them continuing, especially if Atlas is just filler for the next big story for Escobar.
Yeah. All right, so I think next up was our live edition of Thatch's Thatch Can.
This was really fun. He was teaching a man who, I'm going to be honest, I forget their name. I did see this, but I forgot their name. The guillotine, and like how to apply it and this and that, and how to counter it.
Yeah, that's right. I actually heard, like I wasn't able to pay full attention, but I did hear kind of in the background him talking about how windpipe chokes are illegal in wrestling, but there's this other thing that you could do to make it just as effective without doing that.
Right, yes, exactly. And he kind of demonstrated that. And again, this is really just a segment, I mean, not to just completely gloss over it, but where he does take liberties with the student. Because, he shows the guillotine at first, then, how to counter it, mainly. And with the counter, that's when he really cranks on the Kimura for way too long, because he even says to the camera, now we got to make sure that if he's tapping out, it's because he's really feeling the pain and not lulling us into a false sense of security.
Yes.
So we're going to take it, and we're going to crank right here. And he just really cranks on it. And then, the student's like, hey, man, you just said this is an exhibition. It is just an exhibition. Look, you get a turn, okay? And they do it. The guy takes him down. And then Thatcher says, oh, but you see, no problem, but you got to be ready for anything. And then he slaps an ankle lock on the dude.
Oh.
And he starts, like, tapping out, and of course he doesn't relent. Here's where it gets interesting, though, because Andrew, the guy that he took liberties with.
Anthony!
It was Anthony. It doesn't matter what his name is.
No,
it's honestly,
that's a joke.
Yeah. Oh, are you
That's
okay?
the joke, though, is that he called him Andrew, and the crowd thought it was Andrew when his real name is Anthony.
Well, he's Andrew to me now. Maybe he should have sucked less.
God damn it, John. Respect these performers.
I'll respect him when he gives me reason to respect him.
Oh, sweetie, I love
Andrew comes in, and he gets I know what his name is, sir. And he attacks Thatcher. And he actually does get the up on him here. He actually ends it. Thatcher thinks he's going to get back in the ring, and Andrew super kicks him off the apron out the floor over the barricade. So, yeah, we're doing Anthony versus Thatcher here with him hitting the floor.
I wonder if we're going to get that match next week.
Probably. Honestly, I don't even know who this guy. Like, you know, I'm being serious now. I don't know where this guy comes from. I don't know like what his indie background is or anything. Honestly, when I saw they were doing something with him, I kind of got annoyed. So I'm like, wait a minute, this guy, who literally was only here like 2 weeks ago, he's already getting more of a rub, being able to take out fucking Thatcher and stand tall against him, and I'm still waiting for goddamn Rick Boogs. Like, I gotta be honest, like, I'm happy for the dude, but like, so do I. And like, I'd really like him to fucking show up and do something. And yet this fucking Jamoke, who people don't even know what his fucking name is able to like stand tall against Thatcher. And, you know, on a human level, I'm happy for every performer, sure, whatever, yeah, whatever. But like, where's Boogs? You know, where are the people that have actually been putting in the time and getting these opportunities? It does.
So apparently this is a guy that was an Evolve worker. That's probably why he's getting a push so early, because he was probably a bigger deal in Evolve.
Okay. I mean, that's really all I have to say to that.
I totally agree. I was just doing research to see if I could find anything on him, but yeah, apparently like he was an Evolve guy, and like it's like, I don't know. I just kind of get the vibe that the WWE was kind of scouting a bunch of Evolve guys long before they ever actually bought the promotion or officially had the rights signed over or whatever. So it's not really surprising to me that they're going to be pushing an Evolve guy, but I mean, hell, look at Theory, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, yeah, I agree with you. It should be, or maybe not, this necessarily shouldn't be, but we should be getting a Rick Boogs in a position similar to this, where they're kind of getting that come up.
Dude, I almost have to wonder. But see, if that is the case, it better be fucking really damning compared to what NXT is platforming. Because I was about to say, maybe it's backstage heat. Maybe they don't like his attitude or something. But I just got to say this, given the climate that we're in currently, bullshit. Because if it is an attitude problem, that's nothing compared to what you're actually platforming on your product. Okay? So, like, fucking save it if that's the case. This is the one time where I really do hate this Carney bullshit. Because I really am starting to wonder, dude, if it is not like something like, oh, he's immature, oh, he's got an attitude. Well, then, didn't stop you from pushing the other guy who you claim his immaturity gets in his way. He got to main event this week. So, what the fuck? What's the holdup? So I guess we'll see, man. But what came after this?
We had Xia Li apparently was given a letter by William Regal and then immediately asked Regal for a match against Raquel Gonzalez because of the dishonoring that she did to her last week.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad state for Xia, because I care about her story more than I care about her, and she's like its central character. Like, my curiosity, I think, is the only thing really keeping me interested in this, and that's really all I have to say about it. Is there anything you want to say?
No, let's just move on. It's probably going to be kind of a squash match there in favor of Raquel. And then the main event was Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream, and that's it.
Yeah, so let us get right into our next segment, high spots and low shots. And I will say, my low shot, and I say this with a bit of deliciousness, is Killian Dane. Hope you know a good dentist, fuckwad. He got the shit beat out of him by the Undisputed Era Slayers, McAfee, Team 1-2, and Pete Dunne. And yeah, it's not a good night for Killian Dane, and he still has a team with Drake Maverick. The dude just can't win. So who's your low shot?
Wow. I think your low shot was... Wait, who was your low shot?
Killian Dane.
That's what I thought. Okay. I just wanted to double check there. So I guess my low shot's going to be Ember Moon. Yeah. She's back for how long, and she immediately loses. But not only loses, but loses to somebody who is well known for not being able to get the job done in the biggest matches. Not even trying to, I fucking love Dakota Kai. She's one of my favorite people in pro wrestling, and she's a great performer. Not even trying to take that away from her, but I just fucking love her as a person. I think she's amazing. Like, how much money has she now raised on charity, and she's, using that as a way to push back against WWE trying to take over her social media. It's fucking incredible. She's awesome. She's a badass. But, we're still talking about within the confines of NXT here, she is booked as a loser. She is consistently booked as somebody that can't get the job done. So Ember Moon comes back with high hopes, thinking she's going to be in the NXT Women's Championship picture, and loses to somebody whose entire role is you beat them on your way to the NXT Women's Championship picture. So, bad night for Ember Moon, I would say.
Yeah, I think you made a great case there. And there really were a lot of low shots we could have picked from tonight, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, Schatzy was really, like, I almost feel like we have to kind of give her, like, a co-signed honorable mention for low shot, because she not only lost to Toni Storm, kind of halting her momentum towards the women's title, but her tank.
Yeah, Foster, damn it. Oh God, man. Our live chat's got the two.
He actually went there.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. He owned all of it, and really, even though I disagree with him, it was so good that I can say that he cashed the check. Way to go, Foster. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I am about to say it. My high spot's Johnny Gargano. Wow. Entertaining.
Did you hear my mom?
What'd she say?
Bite your tongue.
Bestie, I wish I would. Yeah. He's North American champion. I know that was last week, but still, it was a big part of this segment here.
Oh yeah, and that was another thing that we didn't even mention. He actually went out of his way to say that he's going to be defending the North American title next week against a quote-unquote worthy opponent. So I'm guessing it's going to be like a local talent that he's going to just destroy.
Exactly. And then maybe Regal will come out and tell him his next title defense, potentially for a takeover. I don't know.
Wait, William Regal in November, does that mean that we're getting looks to both sides? War Games!
I hope so. Regal really seems to have mellowed out. Maybe that's why they're not doing a War Games, because maybe he's just like, I'm too old to do the voice
anymore. You can't do the match
just
without Regal doing the announcement properly.
Yeah, exactly. It's a rule. So, like, yeah, I guess no War Games this year. But yeah, Johnny, he had a great segment, made me laugh. Like, he's on the come up with me, and really just in his own career, just generally, like, he's a champion again. So, yeah, Johnny's my high spot. But in all this calamity, I don't want to forget, who's your high spot?
Okay, so I was fully prepared to go through my entire high spot holding my nose like this because I didn't want to actually give this person a high spot. But now I realize I don't have to because I have a better high spot. So my honorable mention for my high spot, which is who my original high spot was going to be, was Kushida. So honorable mention to Kushida. Congrats, you won. Fuck off. But my actual high spot goes to Pat McAfee and company. Easy peasy. They had the best segment of the night. They put a biggest smile on my face. They dominated. They shat all over Undisputed Era and all of their fans. And they reminded us all that Undisputed Era might be cool and nice now, but they've been dicks for a long-ass time.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, guys. With that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans.
You gave me tingles there.
No, that's what I hope to do with all the women listening. But the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-owner commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to like the video as you file out. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, I feel like there's no more comfortable place than the top. So please help us get there and leave a like. Also, be sure to click the bell icon for notifications and subscribe so you never again miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. You guys already know everything we're a part of because of the beautiful backgrounds my co-owner commentary makes, and we also include everything in the description box so you guys can keep up with all things TWitWoW there. Want to remind everybody very early, because I feel like when I do it more regularly, we do end up getting more questions. Thursday, November 26th is Q&A. The pin tweet is up. It's been up for a few days now. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. When it comes to Discord access, that's $3 a month per the Patreon. If any of you guys paid last month, that should have processed into this month. For any of you guys that would want to get in maybe next month, you know, the option's always on the table. And when it comes to Q&A, $1 to the Patreon takes you from 3 Q&A questions to 5. So that's 2 extra questions. And believe me, we've done enough Q&As now to know that 2 extra questions for somebody could make all the difference. You could be asking about the most innocent stuff like, oh, Ashton, what do you think about this player at this position on this potentially, you know, Super Bowl winning team? To John, how do you feel knowing that police brutality has gone up like 30% in the last month? It's like, yeah, an extra question is the difference between nuking the mood and elevating the mood. So choose wisely. But yeah, it does cost $1 for 2 extra questions. And trying to think what else to promote. I don't think we have anything tomorrow as it stands. I know Stardom is actually uploading at a pretty healthy pace. I think we're both hoping that we're going to cover that Stardom show on Friday. which I'm guessing if we do Ashton, that would probably be at 5, right?
Yes.
So 5 p.m. Eastern time on Friday is what we're hoping to do for Stardom. I know Saturday we're going to be doing Power Struggle. Sans the main event. We have it in the schedule. We will not be reacting to Naito versus Evil. I believe we're doing that at 6 because we will save time not doing the main event. And then at 9, we have a WWE catch-up commentary. And then Sunday should be free. We don't have anything on Sunday. So that rounds up the week. And I'm just going to stop there. If Ashton wants to go further, that's entirely... Well, actually, no. Since I'm outroing, I guess I will just stop for the week. We're just going to ease it nice and slow. We already got enough things to worry about. So just know for the rest of the week, we're hoping Stardom Friday, Power Struggle Saturday at 6, and then Saturday at 9, immediately following, WWE catch-up commentary. And that's the rest of the week. So, guys, I know a lot of stuff's happening. I know there's been a lot of anxiety and questions and confusions and everything else. We hope we were able to make you a bit calmer here for an hour, have some laughs, have some fun. Be good to yourselves when we get off of here. Be patient, self-care, all that jazz. And we will see you hopefully Friday at 5 for Stardom. If we don't, we'll see you when we see you. And until then, tune in. Peace out.